Did you know that Texas has a canyon so massive it's called the Grand Canyon of Texas, dropping 800 feet straight down in the middle of flat cotton fields? Or that a mountain range in West Texas is actually a fossilized coral reef from an ocean that vanished 260 million years ago? How about the fact that Texas is quietly swallowing entire towns into sinkholes, and most people driving past have no idea the ground is moving beneath them? Well, there's a lot more to the Lone Star State than cattle, oil rigs, and wide-open highways. What's hiding in Texas will catch you off guard, and we've got the facts to prove it. Let's get into it. Fact 25. Texas is split into 4 wildly different geographic regions. Forget the idea that Texas is just one giant flat ranch. The state is actually carved into 4 major regions: the swampy Gulf coastal plains in the east, the rolling interior lowlands, the endless Great Plains up north, and the rugged basin and range country out west. You can start your morning in humid pine forest and end the day surrounded by desert mountains, all without leaving the state. Texas doesn't just have variety, it has entire climate zones stacked side by side like a geography sampler platter. Fact 24. Driving across Texas is basically driving across several states combined. El Paso sits farther west than Denver, Colorado, yet it's still Texas. Driving from the Louisiana border to the New Mexico line takes longer than crossing an entire cluster of East Coast states combined. The distance is so absurd that truckers joke about needing an extra tank of gas just to get out of the state. Texas isn't just big for a state. It's practically its own region of the country. Fact 23. The Guadalupe Mountains are a fossilized ocean reef. Guadalupe Peak, the highest point in Texas at 8,749 feet, isn't really a mountain in the traditional sense. It's the exposed remnant of the Captain Reef, an ancient limestone reef built by sponges and algae in a shallow tropical sea roughly 260 million years ago. When that sea dried up, the reef fossilized in place. So, when you're hiking the tallest point in Texas, you're technically climbing the skeleton of a coral reef, just buried under desert dust instead of ocean water. Fact 22. Palo Duro Canyon is the second largest canyon in the country. Tucked into the Texas Panhandle, Palo Duro Canyon stretches 120 miles long and plunges as deep as 800 feet. Making it the second largest canyon in the United States after the Grand Canyon. Layers of red, orange, and yellow rock reveal millions of years of erosion carved by the Prairie Dog Town fork of the Red River. Most people flying over the flat panhandle would never guess a canyon this dramatic is hiding just below the wheat fields. Fact 21. Texas has real moving sand dunes. Out near the town of Monahans, giant dune fields rise up to 70 feet high, some of them still actively shifting with the wind. These dunes formed from ancient river sediment, ground down over thousands of years, and piled up by relentless West Texas gusts. Visitors can rent plastic sand toboggans and slide down them like snow hills, except it's 100 degrees outside and there's not a drop of water for miles. Fact 20. There's a pink granite dome older than most of the continent. Enchanted Rock, near Fredericksburg, is a massive pink granite batholith that pushed up from deep underground over 1 billion years ago. Native American tribes considered it sacred, and early settlers reported the rock groaning and cracking at night as it cooled and contracted after hot days, giving the formation its eerie name. It's one of the largest exposed granite domes in the country, and it's just sitting in the middle of hill country ranchland. Fact 19. Big Bend has its own volcanic mountain range. The Chisos Mountains, entirely contained within Big Bend National Park, are the remnants of ancient volcanic activity that erupted roughly 32 to 42 million years ago. It's the only mountain range in the country located completely inside the boundaries of a single national park. Layers of lava, ash, and mudflow rock now form dramatic peaks rising straight out of the Chihuahuan desert floor. Fact 18. St. Helena Canyon was carved by the Rio Grande through solid limestone. Along the Texas-Mexico border in Big Bend, The Rio Grande has sliced a canyon over 1,500 feet deep straight through limestone cliffs. Boaters and hikers can stand at the mouth of the canyon with Mexico on one side and Texas on the other, separated by a river that's often barely knee-deep. It's one of the most photographed spots in Texas, and it's a multi-hour drive from the nearest gas station. Fact 17. Big Bend is one of the darkest places in North America. Because it's so remote, Big Bend National Park has some of the least light pollution in the continental United States. On a clear night, visitors can see the Milky Way stretch edge to edge across the sky, along with thousands of stars invisible almost anywhere else in Texas. The park has officially been recognized as an International Dark Sky Park, a rare distinction for anywhere this close to major highways. Fact 16. Texas has salt flats that look like Utah. Tucked against the base of the Guadalupe Mountains, the Salt Basin Dunes are a stretch of glistening white salt flats and gypsum dunes left behind by an ancient lake that evaporated thousands of years ago. When conditions are right, the flats can appear to shimmer like a mirror, reflecting the sky so perfectly that the horizon disappears entirely. It's the kind of landscape you'd expect from Bonneville, not the Texas desert. Fact 15. Texas is quietly opening giant sinkholes near old oil fields. In the small town of Wink, two massive sinkholes have been slowly growing since the 1980s, and they're now large enough to swallow a football stadium. Decades of oil extraction dissolved underground salt formations, causing the ground above to collapse. Scientists are watching the sinkholes closely because they continue to expand every year, and there are fears they could eventually merge into one massive crater. Fact 14. Man-made earthquakes are shaking West Texas. The Permian Basin, one of the most productive oil fields on Earth, has seen a dramatic spike in earthquakes over the past decade. Most of these aren't caused by natural fault movement, but by the injection of wastewater from drilling operations deep underground. Some quakes have reached magnitude 5, rattling towns that have never recorded a tremor in their entire history. Fact 13. The Permian Basin is named after a sea that vanished 250 million years ago. Beneath the oil rigs of West Texas lies the fossilized remains of an ancient inland sea from the Permian period, the same era that ended with the largest mass extinction in Earth's history. Layers of evaporated salt, limestone, and organic material from that vanished ocean are exactly what created the oil and gas deposits fueling the region today. Every pump jack out there is essentially drilling into a quarter-billion-year-old graveyard. Fact 12. Texas has thousands of disappearing lakes just like Kansas. The high plains of the Texas Panhandle are dotted with tens of thousands of playa lakes, shallow depressions that fill after rainstorms and evaporate within days or weeks. These temporary lakes are critical recharge points for the Ogallala Aquifer, and they also serve as vital rest stops for migrating waterfowl crossing the Great Plains. Most of the time, farmers plow straight through them without a second thought. Fact 11. The Ogallala Aquifer is running dangerously low under Texas. Just like its neighbors to the north, the Texas Panhandle sits above the Ogallala Aquifer, one of the largest underground freshwater reserves in the world. Decades of heavy irrigation have dramatically drained water levels in some counties, with certain areas facing the real possibility of running dry within a few decades. Farmers across the region are now experimenting with reduced water usage to try to stretch the aquifer's life. Fact 10. There's a spring-fed desert oasis in the middle of nowhere. Balmaria State Park, way out in the Trans-Pecos region, is built around San Solomon Springs, a natural spring that pumps out millions of gallons of crystal-clear water every day. The result is a massive man-made swimming pool fed entirely by artesian spring water, surrounded by nothing but scrubland and desert mountains for miles. It's one of the strangest juxtapositions in the state: turquoise water in the middle of a bone-dry desert. Fact 9. Texas has a sinkhole so deep it swallows sound. The Devil's Sinkhole, near the town of Rock Springs, drops more than 350 feet straight down into a massive underground cavern. Every summer evening, over 3 million Mexican free-tailed bats spiral out of the opening in a dark, swirling funnel that can take hours to fully emerge. The sinkhole is so deep and enclosed that sounds echo strangely, and standing at the rim, most visitors have no idea a cave chamber the size of a stadium sits just below their feet. Fact 8. Central Texas is riddled with limestone caves. Texas Hill Country sits on top of the Edwards Plateau, a massive limestone formation shaped by ancient seas and eroded over millions of years into a honeycomb of caves. Sites like Natural Bridge Caverns and the Caverns of Sonora feature dazzling formations of stalactites and stalagmites, some so delicate they're considered among the most beautiful cave decorations on Earth. Most Texans driving over these hills have no clue there's an entire underground world beneath their tires. Fact 7. There's an artesian spring so deep that divers have never found the bottom. Jacob's Well, near Wimberley, is one of the largest natural springs in Texas, feeding directly into the Blanco River. Divers exploring the well's underwater cave system have mapped it down to depths beyond 140 feet, and the full extent of its passages is still not completely understood. Several divers have died attempting to explore its narrow, submerged tunnels, earning it a reputation as one of the most dangerous dive sites in the state. Fact 6. Dinosaur footprints are frozen into a Texas riverbed. Along the Paluxy River near Glen Rose, the exposed limestone riverbed preserves dinosaur tracks left behind roughly 113 million years ago. When water levels drop low enough, visitors can walk directly through tracks left by massive sauropods and predatory theropods, pressed into what was once a muddy shoreline. It's one of the best preserved dinosaur trackway sites in North America, hiding in plain sight in a small Texas river. Fact 5. Padre Island is the longest undeveloped barrier island on the planet. Stretching more than 70 miles along the Gulf Coast, Padre Island National Seashore protects the longest stretch of undeveloped barrier island in the world. Beneath its dunes and grasslands, the island also functions as a critical nesting ground for the critically endangered Kemp's Ridley sea turtle. It's a wild, windswept coastline that looks nothing like the crowded beach towns most people picture when they think of the Texas Gulf Coast. Fact 4. 4 major ecosystems collide in one small patch of East Texas. The Big Thicket, tucked into southeast Texas, has been called the biological crossroads of North America because desert, swamp, prairie, and forest ecosystems all overlap in the same region. You can find cactus growing within walking distance of cypress swamps and carnivorous pitcher plants, an ecological mashup that shouldn't logically exist in one place. Scientists still consider it one of the most biodiverse regions in the country. Fact 3. Mysterious lights near Marfa have puzzled people for over a century. Since the late 1800s, travelers along a stretch of desert highway near Marfa have reported strange glowing orbs floating, splitting, and disappearing on the horizon at night. Scientists have proposed theories involving reflected headlights, atmospheric refraction, or mirages, but no explanation has ever fully satisfied everyone who's seen them. The town even built an official viewing platform along Highway 90 for visitors hoping to catch a glimpse. Fact 2. Traces of the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs are buried along the Texas coast. The Chicxulub impact, the asteroid strike responsible for wiping out the non-avian dinosaurs 66 million years ago, hit just off the coast of what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The resulting tsunami slammed into the Gulf Coast, and geologists have found thick deposits of jumbled rock and debris along Texas riverbanks that were laid down within hours of the impact. In other words, some Texas soil holds a literal timestamp on the worst day life on Earth ever had. Fact 1. Texas is still being reshaped every single day. The Gulf Coast keeps eroding into the sea. Sinkholes near old oil fields keep widening. The Ogallala keeps dropping. Earthquakes keep rattling towns that never used to shake. Texas may look like the same dusty, sprawling landscape it's always been, But underground and along its edges, it's constantly rewriting itself. One collapse, one drought, and one tremor at a time. That's the real story hiding beneath the Lone Star State. And it's still being written right now. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more.